Hold on this computer, please. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Living in Arizona. I am joined, as always, by Arizona's own Natasha Tomlinson. How are you today, Natasha?
You caught me pre-coffee today, but
how is that a possible? I get that I'm pre-coffee. How are you pre-coffee?
I ran out. Of coffee, and I decided that I was going to not make a big deal out of it. That I had enough natural energy to power through this morning, but I can't say that the whole day is going to be coffeeless.
That's a whole episode. We could almost do a whole episode on how much is too much coffee in one day. Where is the best coffee in all of Arizona? Have you got places? Are you like me? I know them. Okay, because I've lived most of my life in LA and a great portion of my life in San Diego. I can tell you down the freeways, both the 5 and the 15 to San Diego, back and forth, all the good coffee off ramps, what to order at 7-Eleven, in fact, when you're in a pinch.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. That's a full episode.
I am partial to Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I mean, there's something about their blend, although there are some local roasters that I really enjoy. In a pinch, that's my go-to, definitely.
You know, you're lucky because you have Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, so my tennis instructor / friend, who's now got me into tennis, which is a whole different story for another day, is a Boston guy, and he's a Dunkin' Donut guy. And I was very anti-Dunkin' Donut as a Krispy Kreme user.
Oh, no.
First of all, the coffee selection is mind-blowing. Plus, they have a cruller there that when it's done correctly and it's slightly crispy, it's pretty close to amazing. And I say that having tried donuts all over the United States. I was very impressed with this donut. Oh, so goodness. I feel for you. I feel for the Dunkin' thing. It's not a real LA thing yet. Dunkin' is only sporadic.
Really?
Very sporadic. Yeah. We still have Winchell's.
No, it's not Winchell's. I mean, I grew up back east, so we definitely had Dunkin' Donuts. So I grew up knowing Dunkin' Donuts, or you go into the local bakery and grab a donut.
Yeah.
And I was never really into coffee until I came out here. But I mean, as you start really working, especially if you're in this business, you either need coffee or you need alcohol, right? So I gravitate more towards coffee.
Well, you're in real estate, so it would be wine. I straight up would be. I have said this for years, having worked with real estate professionals for many years. The quote unquote, we don't have them anymore, but the old school mixers that we used to have, where we do the title company meet and greet routine, where we'd all sit around and pretend that we'd actually refer deals to each other.
Right.
By the way, listening to this in your consumer, really, we all believed it at one point. Like it's like telling folklore at this point. Yes, agents would get together and we promised we'd refer deals to different parts of the valley to each other, and we'd all play fair ball. Never happened.
And it never happened.
Right. I've also known people who claim that they could go to these events and find listings. I said, how? It was an excuse to get free wine and free cheese, and that was it.
Exactly. Free dip, spinach artichoke dip.
Yeah.
And can you imagine, we all used to go over by the buffet and at the table and just talk and eat with no problem. Not now.
I realize how funny this is. For those of you who don't know, Perfect Blue Studios produces several shows, and one of them is another real estate show I want to do this as a topic on his show, just to go, remember when we used to go to events and speak live in front of people?
Without masks and without social distancing. We used to hug each other that we didn't even know outside of our own families.
It's so funny. I just realized the mixer is a dinosaur now as well. You could make a really crazy, I might be into this today, really crazy things we no longer do in real estate.
We may have to do that next time around.
They might not come back. They might not come back. This might be the moment title companies have waited for. They no longer have to buy us stuff. Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
Yeah. Think about this. The industry, it
Oh,
is a
goodness.
changing.
Let me just tell you, I mean, we're doing these CE classes, these continuing education classes, and they're online now. I mean, and now the online CE classes have been around for a while, but now they're all that way, and it's a bear. It's a bear, I must say.
It's funny that we're going to get to the topic in a minute, but I think it's important that you know your host. We're going to segue into how to pick the right agent, and this is really all very interesting talk because I was just doing the topic yesterday of talking about home light, and there's still NAR out there sitting around trying to figure out ways to, I'll say it with all due honesty, monetize agents.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they're doing at this point is just trying to figure out new and invent. There's no trade for shows for you to go buy new locks. There's
none of that.
Think about this. There are no trade shows where
they are lobbying for it in Washington, from what I understand. And fighting for home.
Oh yeah, of course they are. We'll get to it in a minute. I'm a huge believer in NAR efficacies, have been for a long time. I just wish more agents would actually do it, which takes us to the segment. That's really a great segue, which takes us to our segue, choosing your next agent in Arizona. So you're thinking of buying and you're thinking of selling and you need an agent. This is a good topic, okay? And the most common thing right now, for those of you out there, probably how I labeled this when I put it out, need to sell your home fast.
Yes.
What do you do? I'm going to just give my incredibly long period of time. I'm going to qualify this moment before we get into this. Do not hire your brother. Do not hire your friend. Do not hire Guido, the friend of the friend who's got the license. I understand. There are three. Listen, homeowner. There are three reasons you're going to hire. One is based on trust, one is based on expertise, and the other one is what we call the Q factor, the reason Bill Clinton won the election. Would you have a beer with that person? Likability. Now, remarkably, scientifically, likability is the highest one on the list, which is mind-blowing. In this particular case, when you're talking about selling your home fast, and in my humble opinion, it should be in most cases, but specifically when you need to sell quickly, you need to go with expertise, period.
Agreed.
You need somebody with a high level of skills. So let's jump in right there. Choosing your agent wisely. I would love to hear your experience because this happens to all agents. I didn't even qualify this question with you before we started. I guarantee you have had a listing or had to come in and clean up the mess behind an agent who was inexperienced and you were the second batter up in the batter's box, maybe even third. Let's talk about this. Choosing your agent wisely. How important is it to get somebody who knows what they're doing, who isn't, oh, my brother Sam did the listing and I don't know what happened.
Yes.
Tell me all about it.
I mean, we get that more times than I care to say, both on the buyer side or on the listing side. But specifically, people think you can price the house any old way, especially in today's market, in the seller's market. And there is some leeway, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, something is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it. And you also have to be able to market that property effectively. You have to be able to communicate what the product is effectively. And not everyone can do that, not just in word form, but in picture and video form as well. So you have to tantalize all the senses. And you can walk into a house where it was previously listed, an expired or canceled listing, see the marketing and just see that was not done. That was not effectively communicated to the client what needed to be done. Maybe they just weren't in it. Maybe the client wasn't in a space to receive that information, or maybe they were just never told. But as I see it, it is a realtor's job to communicate what needs to happen to meet the client's needs, whether that's selling it fast, whether that's getting the highest dollar amount, or whether that's the least amount of hassle. And there's a number of ways to do that, especially here in the Scottsdale and Phoenix metro area. We have a number of options. You have iBuyers are heavily in our marketplace as well. And I see them as a tool that we use in order to help you the seller reach your goal.
Yeah, I completely agree. I would. All right, pop quiz.
Pop quiz. Uh-oh.
I love this because I had this discussion with another real estate professional the other day about this. Do you put the price of houses on your flyers?
No.
Correct answer. Ding, ding, ding. And the
No.
person I was with looked at me and goes, why is it bad that they've got the price on there? I said, because I don't know who they are and I'm not going to get their information now. They just got what they wanted and gave up nothing to get it. Now, if you're somebody trying to sell a house, let me explain the importance of this. Natasha's job here at the end of the day is to get as many offers as humanly possible and literally play Bob Barker and The Price is Right and get the maximized dollar for you. That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing. This is the first crucial ingredient to this whole thing. How many offers can I get? And who's going to be froggy on this whole thing when we start throwing numbers back?
You got it.
And she knew the right answer. It's not an edit, which sadly could have been a thing when I made this podcast at that moment. First
of all, what's a flyer?
Oh, okay. Strong.
The flyers are dead. They died with 2019, the pre-coronavirus. Okay. No one wants to touch the thing anyway. And I can't extract information from the other party. It's very one-sided. I can't extract information from the other party with a flyer. Now, with a sign writer and other marketing tools, I can do that so that I can contact this person and measure their interest level. And the more interested parties, the better it is for my seller client to get the job done, get the house sold quickly and for a lot of money.
And that is correct. At the end of the day, that's the goal here. From a technology standpoint, what do you implement? What are you a fan of? What are you not a fan of? What works?
Well, although I do like my new fancy cell phone, I do not take your listing pictures with it. We do hire professional photographer, professional videographer, do the 3D walkthrough to limit the number of disinterested parties through your home, especially with the coronavirus. I mean, really, if someone's living in there or not living in there, we don't want to be responsible for this for the spread. So we certainly do that. And with that base, with those, we use sign writers, which basically provide the information and the details of the home and some pricing associated with the home, but also give me the client's information. And we do a lot of social media and internet advertising as well in order to draw more traffic to your property and to your area and let people know why they should live here, why you've enjoyed it for X amount of time, and why they too will enjoy it. It's not just price for the buyer. We harp on the community, we harp on the schools, we harp on all the amenities surrounding it so that people can have a great work, life, play experience in that neighborhood.
Excellent. When is the right time to sell?
Well, I mean, that's different for every person because it depends on what's happening in your world. But I would say today is an excellent time to sell here in Arizona and in most markets. Excellent, especially if you're under the $750,000, let's just throw out a number, price bracket. It is an excellent time to sell. And if you're looking to then turn around and buy, it is an excellent time to buy because of interest rates. However, you do have to have a absolutely tenacious realtor on your side to ensure that you're not left homeless.
Hmm.
I mean, no other way to say it.
Yes. Um, you've done a very good politically correct job of not throwing other agents under the bus, but I will because I have no shame in my game. These are all crucial elements, especially I would think that if you're a consumer who found this and somebody who has to sell your home, um, you're having difficulties because of coronavirus, or you're not working, you're behind on payments, you don't know your options, you don't know what's going on, you're getting to a point where you're seeing that you're getting pressured. And this was a discussion the other day, getting the money out of the walls, which takes us to a really important question. I
Mm-hmm.
went on Zillow. My house is worth $1 billion. Sell it for $1 billion. And by the way, this kills more first agents than anything other, and why there's usually a second and a third agent. So let's talk about this. How do you price a house correctly, especially when somebody needs to really sell it?
Well, we're not looking to leave any money on the table. Absolutely. We are looking to see what the comparable sales are in the neighborhood. And so we're looking at what has sold recently because the market is moving very swiftly. What the condition of the properties were that sold versus the condition of your property. And we're looking at the absorption rates in a particular area, the direction of the market, to get an idea of how far can we stretch the price. Now, I'm not a huge fan of pricing the property super low to obtain 75 offers. I see that happening a lot in this marketplace. And I just feel like that leaves the seller open for something to go wrong. So I like to price it within comps, knowing that even doing that, we're going to see a flurry of frenzy of activity in a marketplace because supply is just so low. Now, we do look and see, hey, does selling it traditionally make most sense for you, or should we look at some of these other iBuyer options? Anyone looking to buy the house is going to look on Zillow to see the price. So whether that price is low or high compared to where we're at, what we're seeing now is Zillow just resets the price. They reset the value, within a day, and that's a fairly recent change. And you can submit comps to Zillow in order to do that if they don't make that change swiftly. If you are looking to build a new home and you want to avoid moving twice, there are options for you there as well. So it's, like I said, it just really depends on what the needs are of that particular seller.
Absolutely. At this point, above or below the screen, you will see a message bar. This is a great opportunity for you to send a message to Natasha and have her come at no cost, at no obligation, come and price your home out correctly. By the way, yeah, that's a thing for you, the
Absolutely.
homeowner. You should get a valuation from an agent and talk to him. It's a great opportunity. Moving forward, let's talk about physically selling the home. Okay, I've gotten into the mindset. Normally you declutter, clean up a space. I would even say now, because it's era appropriate, COVID size my place as well as I get ready to sell it. Tell me about decluttering, COVID size it. Like, how do I really prep up a house?
Absolutely. Now, I mean, we are in unprecedented times, as they say, right? So you really need to declutter the counters, the cabinets, the closet space. People want to have an idea of what they're purchasing. And I mean, we have garages, so certainly put the extra items in there. And you're in the process of moving anyway, so it's perfectly okay for you to box these things up and set them aside. But I am certainly seeing people having their homes professionally cleaned, because if not during the showing time, at the time of closing, people don't want to know that there was any transfer of any germs now more than ever, to the next party. The seller doesn't want that, and a new buyer certainly doesn't want it either. They want to see themselves in the home. So people have very strong opinions these days. Also, yeah, as we know, we have a very contentious political climate. People have a lot of opinions about that. So all of your personal tchotchkes, all of your political paraphernalia and memorabilia and all the rest, I would set that aside. We have a goal, and the goal is to sell the house, and with the least amount of hassle and for the highest amount of dollar amount. So whatever the person's belief system is
Good. Depersonal. Go ahead.
irrelevant.
Yeah, no, I completely. Depersonalize. So we talk about staging. We talk about how does somebody selling their house actually stage their house to make it as neutral as possible, since you're going to have buyers come in. We'll glove them up and we'll cover them in plastic and do all the correct stuff.
Absolutely.
How do you make a space as general as possible so that they can envision themselves in that space?
So you are removing pictures from the wall, removing all the sports teams, removing, making the closets, a lot of times taking like half of the items out of the closet so they can sort of see the space that's there. Making sure that you are tantalizing the senses. So they shouldn't smell what you had for dinner. They shouldn't taste in the air what you had for dinner. All of those things that happen when you're normally living in a space need to be neutralized, and we need to help the next person picture themselves there.
Let's talk about accommodating. The selling process can be a bit of a pain, especially when buyers start scheduling and showing up. And I've seen software for this. I've seen everything. What is it like to, arrange it and be accommodating and not too aggressive for somebody who's still trying to live there?
In today's market, depending on our marketing strategies, what we're seeing right now is we can get it done in a couple of days' time as far as getting the offer in. So we are backing potential clients in one after the other, so that it's a day, 2 days, 3 days time that you are displaced, and not months on end. That's the importance of marketing and pricing the property right and having it staged properly, so that we're not dragging the process out and certainly turning your life all topsy-turvy.
Which brings up the very scary word of, contingencies and moving into the next property and subject tos and things of that nature. How is it to get someone to sell their house and ultimately want to rent or buy their next house, and making that transition with somebody else who's coming in who's probably selling? Like, that's a big train wreck of lots of people doing lots of things to time out correctly. Maybe you can talk about this to ease it. That is definitely a thing, and I'm sure it seems overwhelming and daunting to someone selling.
And it certainly can be if you don't have the right team in place. It is of the utmost importance that you are in communication with all parties in the transaction. So that is the lender, the title person, of all parties involved, to make sure that that everything is happening in a timely fashion, that everything lines up, that monies are transferred appropriately. We do try to work in a little post-possession period there as well for people, because we want to make sure the money is there. We want to make sure it's done. Excuse me. And that all parties are satisfied, and it's moving along swiftly and in the right direction. But yes, it is a challenge I welcome and have done many times, both on residential and small multifamily, which was very, very interesting. But it certainly can be done, and it can be done smoothly. But communication is key.
Setting yourself apart, making the property unique. The age-old "if the house smells like cookies" routine. How do you set the property apart? How do you make it special? What are some of the tips and tricks you can think of that really make the property stand apart from everything else?
But we do try to neutralize it as far as visual and smells as well. But I mean, the property, people are buying the property, people are buying an area, they're buying the neighborhood, they're buying the school system. So we certainly highlight those features as well. The marketing, the technology that we use in order to do that is huge. So we do a lot of virtual staging as well in our marketing, especially with vacant houses. People cannot walk into a space and picture what will fit. That's why model homes sell so well. And that particular plan is so common in a community, because that's what people have walked through and experienced. So we want to create that same visual and personal experience in the home.
Open houses, getting feedback, ultimately making that house something that the community wants, or somebody coming into the community wants. How important is it to hold an open house, get feedback, see what people are seeing from their perspective?
It's very important. We think things should go a certain way, but we get feedback from the agents, from the neighbors, from the people who have just seen the property, and we tweak with talking to our client, of course, but we tweak immediately, because the goal is to get it done. So if there's something missing, there's pockets missing in the marketing, we need to fill it in order to get the home sold. So absolutely, we do virtual showings, in-person showings. It just totally depends on the client's comfort level.
Which takes us to the next question of how long does it actually take right now to sell a property these days in Arizona? What's the current turn time?
Gone. Did I do
Gone.
that right?
There's no turn time at all. Just put it on the market. It's literally bait into the water, and you got to fight them off with a stick.
Yeah, I mean, buyers are certainly having a hard time finding a house that is in good condition and priced well. But sellers are having a hard time too, because residential real estate is emotional. I mean, people live their lives in this space. They want to make the right decision. Yes, they want to make the right decision for them, but they want to feel as if they are putting the right person into their home. And when you're one seller with one property and you get 25 offers, it's a hard decision to make. But we help you. We bring you back to what your goals were initially, and scrutinize every offer, every letter to the seller that the buyer writes, and those are certainly important, but we certainly look at the bottom line of each particular one, speak to all of the lenders, and make sure that this deal is actually going to get done.
Which asks the question of emotional versus business here, and understandably, everybody sees this investment as a home, either to move into it or selling it. And your job is to really be neutral and understanding of it. How hard is it to try to get someone to understand this aspect?
It depends on the situation and the person and what's happening in their lives. All right. So, someone who's going through a divorce and selling a house because of a divorce, or selling a house because they inherited it from a loved one through probate, has a different emotional state than someone who is selling their house for the first time and moving into a space that's more in line with where the family's needs are today. So you have to be mindful of someone's where that person is right now, and allow them the space and the time to get whatever it is that they're feeling off their chest, good, bad, or ugly. That's fine. But my purpose is, yes, to listen to that, but also to help keep you on task. And This will be 16 years in June. So, I've had a lot of practice.
Yeah, it sounds like it. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, you can always call me, 480-203-4364. Send an email, visit the website, DM me on social media, however you touch base. I'm more than happy to chat.
This is where you point down and go, or hit the button down below if you're watching the video online or something. Yeah, usually it's probably got a message somewhere down there. Any of those forms, definitely check all of those out. That is Natasha Tomlinson. She will be back next week. Click subscribe, like, share. That would be really helpful. She is available on every available platform, so you can get the show each and every week, especially if you're thinking of moving to the Arizona area, and you should learn everything you can about the Arizona area. And
Absolutely.
we thank you all for listening.